myself, Salailo Makwidiri. We're going to be turning our attention to, I think, what has been one of the most important headlines of the past week. It is one that is urgent and deeply troubling story out in North Africa. Over the past few weeks, shocking reports have emerged from Egypt, where activists taking part in the global march to Gaza, an international convoy aimed at breaking the siege on the besieged Palestinian enclave, have been violently obstructed by Egyptian authorities. Participants were reportedly beaten. They were reportedly arrested, and we saw mass deportations. Some of them even had their passports seized. Among all those that were attacked, the ones that were included were sitting members of parliament from South Africa, from Ireland and Turkey, including a Turkish MP, Farouk Denk, who was left bloodied during an assault. And with us now is Heike, a UK-based activist and volunteer who was part of this very convoy. And she witnessed these events firsthand and joins us to give us a critical ground-level account of what really happened and what this ultimately means for Gaza solidarity going forward. Heike, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning.
Well, thank you very much for giving me your time. I appreciate it. Good morning.
The pleasure is all ours. I think we can just begin, the conversation with your personal experience, what you witnessed on the ground when you were part of that convoy that tried to move towards the Rafah border, and essentially what first inspired it. What inspired saying, I'm going to be part of this. It's a great initiative. It's mobilizing people from all across the world to stand up essentially for the truth, a genocide against the people of Palestine.
Okay, well, my inspiration for Palestine goes back at least 15 years. I did a lot of research on Palestine and I know the history. So long story short, Palestine has been part of my heart for over a decade. I heard about the Global March to Gaza some months ago, but I couldn't find any connections to how I could possibly join or find more information. And then recently, I guess about a couple of weeks ago, all of a sudden, there was something on Middle Eastern Eye, I believe, and there was a link to the website. So I followed that and was able to apply, and because you have to apply for it, and I was accepted, and so I joined that way. And we were all completely responsible for our own expenses and all that. They did have some kind of funding for the cause itself, and anyone who was having financial difficulties, I guess, could ask for help. But I'm completely self-funded. So that's how that started. Palestine has always been close to my heart. The genocide did not start on October 7th, 2023. The genocide has been going on for 76 years and counting at minimum. It's just that, unfortunately, most of the world isn't aware of that.
We're also joined on air by Danielle, Camba. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you giving us your time. I think you can maybe just pick up from where Heike also mentioned, what got you involved with this convoy? Why was it so important for you to make your way to the Rafah border?
Well, it's very important to make, especially for someone living in the Emirates, wherein you cannot speak out loud. Okay, so being here in the Global March, I was really, satisfied, shouting for a free Palestine. And I know that's something I can do for them, at least an action, because we cannot just sit in our home, going to work as a normal people and do nothing. Okay, so we as human, if our government fails, we need to do something. We need to act. This is the only time that we can contribute as humans to help the people of Gaza, who is dying every day, to just get for flour. So it's very heartbreaking every day. It's been the last more than 2.5 years I've been following this. I think actually more than that. That, like, we feel like we are very helpless as a human. And finally, I'm very thankful to the organizers who actually thought about this. And finally, non-Christian, Muslim, sorry, Christians, Hindu, everyone has gathered in order to fight for one cause, and that is to free the Palestine. But unfortunately, the Egyptian forces, the authority doesn't let us go through. It is very heartbreaking. It's very disappointing, but we need to follow the rules, which is inside here. So we are just here. We are left with hope that there will be a new movement, in the next coming months, because Palestinians are dying every day. And it's very heartbreaking, really, that you cannot do something like in your home. Every day we can see the videos of people dying. It's really heartbreaking. And alhamdulillah, thank God that the organizer come up with this march. So finally we can voice out our message to the world and to the authorities.
Mm, 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 mm. Heike, let me come back to you. Your assessment of how you guys were received in Egypt. I mean, we saw the images, we saw videos. It became very, very hostile at some point. If you can just take us through that, the general experience of how the different convoys from all across the world were received in the treatment that was dished out to you guys by Egyptian authorities?
Well, like you said, it was hostile from the get-go. I cannot believe that Egypt wasn't expecting us. I mean, they knew that there was a global march to Gaza. They let us come into the country. We had a long wait at the airport to get through, and I guess some people were already stopped at the airport. We were fortunate, and that didn't happen to us. So we made it to the through the airport, through immigration, and we made it to our hotels, which there were 3 specific hotels that were meeting points. So the last day to arrive to Egypt, to Cairo, was last Thursday, the 12th of June. We were supposed to start our adventure to the Rafah border on Friday morning. So there were 3, like I said, there were 3 hotels that were meeting points for buses to pick us up, to take us to Al Arish, where we were supposed to then start marching through the desert towards the Rafah border within 3 days. That didn't happen. It seemed like the police was out there already, they already had found some of our locations, I guess. And so the coordinators decided that we would go in separate small groups in taxis on that Friday, last Friday the 13th, towards the border. And some of us were already stopped at some checkpoints before Ismailia, and they were treated very badly and had their passports taken. Some were beaten really badly, and I think some were taken straight back to the airport. Some of them made it back into Cairo. I wasn't with them because Danielle and I and a young gentleman that was with us, Hussein, we made it to Ismailia. But the wait to reach that checkpoint was really long. It was very much backed up. It took us 2 hours between that last checkpoint and the checkpoint at Ismailia. And then it seemed that we found out that all the taxis were being checked because we were all in taxis. And so when the, I guess, traffic police, military police, whatever, when they reached our taxi finally, they told the taxi driver to pull over, and we had to get out. But we were fortunate, the 3 of us kept our passports. Our passports were never taken. So then we just joined our comrades that had already been stopped at the Ismailia checkpoint. And we decided to, or the coordinators asked us if we want, they basically put it plainly. They said we had a couple of choices. They said we could, they knew that the police basically wanted to send us back to Cairo, preferably to the airport, and, and get us out of the country. Or we could stand our ground in a sit-in, just a calm, friendly sit-in to get our message out at the Ismailia checkpoint, and hope for the best. And at worst, then eventually we realized that most likely, they were going to try and get rid of us. So we did spend all afternoon there, because we got there kind of late in the afternoon. So, there was military police all around, or whatever you want to call them, traffic police, and undercover police. The thugs that came out later, who did the beating and the violence, we hadn't really noticed them too much yet. So we were just, gathering, being, just being comrades, trying to find some place to kind of, leave our luggage and just get a little comfortable. And people took out their Palestinian flags. Those of us who had them wore their keffiyehs. We started doing some chants, and everything was very, very friendly, and we were just getting our message out. And then as the sun started setting, things started changing. And the coordinators came out again, and they basically told us that, they thought that the authorities would try and forcibly remove us, and that we still had time to possibly catch a taxi to go back to Cairo. It was up to us to make that decision. Well, I think most of us decided to stay and, see what would happen, because it was very important to us. I mean, this was one of the most important objectives for, I think, many of us, if not most of us. And we wanted to try and make the most of it, even if we weren't going to make it to the Rafah border, even if they weren't going to let us through that checkpoint. We were going to make a stand. We were going to try and let the world know why we are here and what our objective is, and that we need to open the humanitarian corridors to Gaza to let that aid in. There's many other things, obviously, to end the occupation, to end the genocide, but the foremost thing was to open those humanitarian corridors to get that aid into the Gazans who are starving, who are experiencing famine, who are not just being bombed every day, but dying of famine, babies, children. It's beyond any human imagination. And we had to do something, and we needed to get those borders open, but we were not successful.
And I think that was very, very unfortunate indeed. Danielle, I want to come back to you. I saw a post that was doing the rounds that you were also victim of an attack by Egyptian authorities, or people that were paid by Egyptian authorities. They were allegedly in plain clothing, so you can't really tell. Do you mind sharing that experience with us? And what you went through, and what was it like for you?
Yeah, okay. So the thugs, okay, the civilians that are paid by the Egyptian authorities, they started throwing bottles, they started whipping out people, and also, yeah, they tried to forcefully drag people, by foot or by hand. I was one of those people who were actually pointed out by the thugs to take them. So I was dragged by foot, and I was laid on the ground, and then they started whipping my back. And that's when Heike started, grabbing my back. So she was whipped too. And fortunately, the people took me over, pulled me over, and I was not able to, they were not able to take me. But it was a very, I feel like it's a full of violence. Like they should not be having these thugs there, because first of all, we are not using violence at all. We are having a peaceful march. We are just trying to voice out what needs to be to be done, right? So it's very unfortunate that these things happen, but yeah, we are still lucky that we have not got too much injury, though I have bruises in my arms.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. And we've got pictures of those bruises. As a Muslim, and as someone that has, I'm sure, has heard and came across the criticism of how Arab Muslim countries are responding to this genocide, and ultimately finding yourself in Egypt, which is a predominantly Muslim country. It is an Arab African country. What was your assessment? What was going through your mind when all of this was happening? And did it give give any kind of credibility to the suspicions that a lot of Muslim Arab countries are in fact in bed with the Israeli apartheid regime and are in support of the atrocities that they are committing against the people of Gaza?
Yeah, so I was very disappointed, of course, because they are, of course, my Muslim brothers and sisters. But I know that on that point, like those peoples who were there, the police, like they were just trying to to do their job, which is being said by the government. So this is what. But of course, those violence is still really not acceptable. We believe that maybe majority of the civilians, or like Egyptian people, does oppose this, but they have a weakness to to protest against the government, because apparently I know, I have known that the government is quite allergic with some gatherings of people. So there are very very less movement, I believe, by the Egyptian people to to open the humanitarian corridor, especially there, the direct way to open the borders in Gaza. And yeah, on that situation, it's very unfortunate that we've seen the violence. But as Prophet Muhammad said, if you've seen a violence, you should actually like what is happening in Gaza. If you have the power to do it, you should do an action on it.
Mhm.
If not, you should speak by words. That is the second. And the lowest kind of believer is the one who cursed it in her heart, or in his heart. So yeah, I think at least speak against this. I call on the Egyptian people actually to at least speak out against your government, because it's very difficult what is happening there. We cannot let this happen. This genocide is ongoing, and we must act now.
No, definitely. Heike, I want to come back to you. We're always told, to make a distinction between the governments of these Arab countries and the people themselves, because most of the governments are in the Arab world are essentially oppressive regimes, and sometimes their actions don't really reflect the sentiments on the ground. Is it similar to what you gathered in Egypt? Did you feel the people themselves, the laymen and women of Egypt, were in support of the convoy, and it's just the actions of the authorities, of the government, that were otherwise?
Always a few that may be on the side of the government, but I really honestly believe that the Egyptian people overall, the majority, are totally on the side of the Palestinians. They consider the Palestinians their brothers and sisters, and they are definitely not supporting their government in this at all. So we all believe that. I think the majority of us believe that. And as Danya has already pointed out, and but even our Western world governments, our European governments, and worst of all, the U.S. government, they are just as bad. And we are doing the job that our governments are doing. We shouldn't even have to be doing this. Our governments should be doing this. We have to take matters into our own hands because our governments will not act. If anything, our governments are supporting the genocide, are literally financing and weaponizing the genocide, and it has got to stop. Gaza has run out of time. I mean, Gaza was already running out of time a long time ago, but now it's more urgent than ever that this stops. And that Gaza, that Palestine is free, and from the river to the sea, Palestine needs to be free, and we can't stop. We will not stop. This has not stopped us. We will continue. We will continue the battle.
No, definitely. Just one last question to the both of you before I let you go. I'll start with you, Heike. Would you say this mission, this convoy, even though you guys didn't necessarily reach the Rafah border, but it yielded the correct response? It raised, questions around the Egyptian authorities and how they're responding to this. But most importantly, it got people talking about Gaza again. It rallied up solidarity, and it's not necessarily a mission failed.
I mean, we were disappointed. Those of us who know the history knew it was a long shot, but we had to give it a try. I think Danya and I have made comrades for life, and we will continue the fight. So we have met a lot of wonderful, wonderful, dedicated people who would lay down their life literally for this cause. So yes, I believe that we have accomplished that much. There's more talk in the media again about Gaza, and people are becoming more aware. And definitely, Egypt did not do itself any favors by mistreating us the way they have.
And Danya, do you share the same sentiments? Do you believe, although you guys didn't reach Rafah border, but there are some positives to this?
Yeah, definitely. The fact that we have sent hope to the people of Gaza, I believe this is one of the great achievement. The fact that the world knows that the human will take action. The people of the world will take action by their bodies, from starting from the Freedom Flotilla, global march to Gaza, the convoys. So everyone is now doing their action, to in order to stop this genocide. It's not only the government who will decide what needs to be done. We have the power as people also to stop this, because if no one will act, we cannot just let our Palestinian people die there unjustly. It's an aggressor versus the one who is being victimized. So it's very important that we did this march. We are satisfied on what we have done here, though it's very disappointing that we didn't go through our the main goal. But it's still good. Like for me, there's a lot of things that change after this global march, and for sure there will be more and more movement. No one will stop. There's still a fire in the hearts of the people, especially the disappointment as well. For sure we will be having a more organized march next time, and we will never stop until Palestine is free.
All right, definitely. No, I think we're going to leave it on that note, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us, and really, really appreciate your efforts when it comes to Palestinian solidarity. And indeed, as you say, it was not a mission failed. I think it yielded the results that it was supposed to yield, and hopefully there'll be more of it. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Palestinians